Oh man. Amen.
Amen. I'm asking all our youth that are in our skit to please come forward. Amen. They are going to do excerpts from Black heroes from the past. Amen.
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 We were here. Before the Pilgrims came on the Mayflower, we were here. Before the first cannons were fired in the Revolutionary War, we were here. Some of us were slaves, and some of us were free, but we were here. Many of our people fought in the Revolutionary War for the issues stated in the Declarations of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unavailable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Most of our names have been forgotten by now. For the majority of us were slaves. We were listed only as property, not people. We could not write our own names because we didn't know how to write. And now it seems time has forgotten our names. Yet we have a great history in this country. Ours is the heroic history of survival. Our history travels the length of a whip and the vastness of a dream. It spans oceans and centuries. It is the history of the human spirit's quest for freedom. It is the history of our souls.
We began in Africa, but most of us don't know where our ancestors were when they were kidnapped and brought across the ocean as slaves. We know the slave ships were overcrowded and our people were abused. The sight was terrible. One man who worked as a slave ship captain knew the sight well.
My God.
He grew to hate the slaving business and wrote a song we still sing today. His name was John Newton, and the song is Amazing Grace. He wrote it one stormy night when it seemed the ocean was swallowing him and all his ships with hundreds of slaves.
All right.
I was lost, but now was blind, but now I see.
The names of the slaves on Mr. Newton's ship were African. Most received new names once arrived at their destination. Their own children did not have African names and were raised speaking English. They had names like Frederick or Harriet or Nathaniel. Perhaps you have heard of Nathaniel, Nat Turner, who led his fellow slaves in a dangerous and bloody rebellion.
I was born proper to a Benjamin Turner. I had a vision and I saw white spirits and black spirits engaged in battle. The sun was darkening and the thunder rolled through the heaven. Blood flowed and screams, and I heard voices saying, "Such is your luck, such are you called to see, and let it come rough and smooth. You must surely bear it."
Nat Turner and many other slaves were executed after this rebellion. But many people, white and black, were listening anew to the message of slaves and former slaves. Many people wanted to abolish slavery, to get rid of it. They were called abolitionists. One of the most important men of our race was Frederick Douglass. Like Nat Turner, he was born a slave, but he ran away from his master and became a great speaker for the abolitionists. Standing before a large audience like this one, he would tell about his childhood stories and about the evil of slavery.
My mother's visits to me were few, mostly made in the night. Yet I shall never forget her expression when I had told her that I had no food since morning, that evening just went to starve if I find. There was pity in her glance at me. She gave me a large, gentle cake. That night I knew that I was not an only child, but somebody's child. The cake that my mother gave me was in the shape of a heart. Upon my mother's knee, I was a king upon his throne. But my triumph was short. I dropped off to sleep and waked in the morning, only to find my mother gone. I do not remember seeing her after this. I ran after my mother's death that she believed that a good hand should learn to give. In any state, it's remarkable, but the achievement of my mother to achieve the place was extraordinary.
Amen.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
Hallelujah.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from home.
Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Frederick Douglass sometimes took off his shirt during his speeches and showed the deep welt marks on his back. Sometimes this caused some women in the audience to faint, and sometimes other former slaves, a woman, joined him in speaking of human rights. Meet Sojourner Truth.
I am a woman. I have much muscles as any man, and I can do much work as any man. I have plowed and reaped and husked and chopped and mowed. Can any man do more than that? I tell you. The meanest child, oh glory, outshines the brightest sun.
Another great woman of color did not make many speeches, but she did make many journeys. She herself had run away to her freedom was, but returned time again to the slave world to rescue other slaves. She took them from one hiding spot to another, using what we call the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad is not a real railroad with tracks and trains. It's consisted of many safe houses where runaway slaves could stay on their way to freedom. Some called Harriet Tubman Moses. Like Moses of old, she led slaves to the promised land.
I was only 7 years old when I was sent away to take care of a white baby. One morning, I stood by the table waiting till I was to take it. Just by me was a bowl of lumps of white sugar. I never had nothing good, and that sugar did look so nice, and my missus' back was turned to me. So I just put my fingers in the sugar bowl to take one lump. She turned and saw me. The next minute, she had the rawhide down. I just flew, and they didn't catch me. I run and I run and I run, and when I was clear tuckered out, I came to a big pig's pen. I stayed from Friday to the next Tuesday, fighting with those pigs for the potato peelings and other scraps. By Tuesday, I was still starved. I knew that I got to go back to my missus. I hadn't got nowhere else to go, but years later, I did have some place to go, Freedom Land, and I took others with me. You see, there was one or two things I had the right to, liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other, but no man should take me alive.
Amen.
You may not know that there were slaves here in Utah. When the pioneers came, they brought 3 colored servants with them in the very first company: Hartley, Oscar, Crosby, and Green Flake. Green Flake was probably driving Birmingham Young's wagon. Years later, at a Pioneer Recognition Day, Green was honored. There, a little girl asked him a question. Mr. Flake, what was it like to be a slave?
You don't have to answer that, Mr. Flake.
No, I want to answer it.
Okay.
Being a slave is all right, if you just want to be a slave, that is. But many of us colored folk wanted a better life, if we could find one. I was raised a slave and had a master to tell me what to do. He gave me a place to sleep, fed and clothed me, worked me, and told me what to do each day. Sometimes I got whipped, and my master would give me a big kick in the pants if I sloughed or made a mistake, or if I was lazy. Slavery's been around for a long time, and the colored folk got sold like they was a horse, a cow, or some other animal. They become the owner's property, and they work long and hard for the master. Most everyone don't want to be a slave and be in bondage to another, because you can't have even your own thoughts and dreams. You can't plan for the future when all decisions get made by someone else. White and black alike, and all races will have equal say in the government.
You see, that need for freedom is deep in all of us. We sang about it often.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more weeping. No more weeping. No more weeping. No more weeping over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
My God.
All right.
Yes.
Freedom came, but not easy. It came with blood. It cost this nation the Civil War to free its slaves. Many of our race fought in the war too. After it was over, we were still emancipated, but we had new challenges. Most who had slaves still couldn't read or write. We didn't have good schools, and we sure didn't have good money. Some still farmed the grounds they had farmed as slaves, though now they could sell the crops they raised. Other moved elsewhere in search of a better life. Some found it, and some found only sorrow and trouble.
We knew we needed education. We needed a vision of what we could be, not the journey, just the memory of what we've been. There were many who built schools to educate the freed slaves and their children. One of the great ones was Mr. Booker T. Washington. He founded Tuskegee Institute. He laid the foundations others will build on. Good people are still working and building to ensure that opportunities for education will be equal for white and black alike, and that all races will have equal say in the government.
I do not believe that any state should make a law that permit a influence and property certain white men to vote, and prevent a black man in the same condition from voting. It will become apparent that the white man who begins by cheating a Negro out of his ballot soon learns to cheat out of the white man out of his.
Booker T.
Amen.
Washington was famous in his day and respected, but full freedom was still a long ways off for us. So there came a time when it was necessary to stand up for civil rights, or in one case, to refuse to stand up. Meet Rosa Parks.
December 5th, 1955 was one of the memorable and inspiring days of my life. History records this day as the beginning of the modern civil rights movement that transformed America and influenced freedom revolutions around the world. I had been arrested 4 days earlier in my hometown of Montgomery, Alabama, for refusing to get up and give my seat on the city bus to a white man, which was a much resented customary practice at the time. Martin Luther King said of me and others, when the history books are written in the future, somebody will have to say, there lives the race of people, of black people, fleecy locks and black complexion, of people who had the moral courage to stand up for their rights, and thereby they injected a new meaning into the veins of history in their
Amen.
They'll be singing. They'll be singing.
Hallelujah.
They'll be singing over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
These are only a few names from our history and a few words. There are so many others now: poets, musicians, artists, doctors, politicians, lawyers, and professors. We call ourselves African Americans because we cherish our heritage and the completeness. African and American, we were here and we still are, building lives and legacies. Perhaps no one helped us realize our worth and our dreams quite like the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.
I am in burning tears because injustice is here. I am compelled to carry the gospel of freedom beyond my own hometown. I cannot sit idly by in Arlington and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I have a dream that someday my 4 little children will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Oh my God.
I have a dream today too. I hope each of you has a dream. And I hope each of you has the knowledge that your dreams can come true. So dream high. Lift up your heads and dream high. And lift every voice and sing.
Amen.
Amen.
One.